Hello and welcome back to The Curious Edge, where today we are talking about damming the Mediterranean. If you're familiar with the maps in a few fictional universes, such as The Man in the High Castle or the Fallout universe, you might have noticed something strange between Europe and Africa. The Mediterranean Ocean is gone. Yes, in both of these universes, either the Germans or the Germans decided we were better off with a large dam between Spain and Morocco. But why would you do this? And could it actually be done? Well, these works of fiction weren't the first place where this idea was discussed, no. The first large dam concept was the brainchild of a German, Hermann Sorgel, in the 1920s, and it was called Atlantropa, or Pan-Propa in the less stylish engineering circles. The core concept of the utopian plan was a large dam in the Strait of Gibraltar, resulting in the lowering of the Mediterranean by 100 meters in the west, a middle dam between Sicily and Africa, and a smaller dam over the Bosphorus near the Black Sea to lower the eastern Mediterranean by 200 meters. This is then paired with a hydroelectric dam at the mouth of every major river entering the Mediterranean for even more energy generation. So now I hear you ask, so you've lowered the Mediterranean by 200 meters? Why? Well, I will tell you why, viewers. The total energy generation of these dams would be a whopping 110,000 megawatts of completely environmentally friendly energy. Well, in the greenhouse gas sense, not the preserving the current environment sense. To put that in perspective, a large city of about 1 million people in a country like the USA or Australia uses around 1,500 megawatts, with the slightly less power-hungry cities of southern Europe using around 500 megawatts. So in theory, that's power for 220 million people, but the benefits do not stop there. Draining the Mediterranean is going to leave a lot of new land available, with a great climate over 500,000 square kilometers, or more land than the area of France and Belgium combined, of readily available, unused, arable land. Now, you might be wondering how exactly we're going to drain the Mediterranean, but that's part of the genius of the plan. You don't have to. The sea is evaporating at a greater rate than water is flowing in, so once it's blocked off from the Atlantic, it will drain itself at a rate of 1.65 meters a year. So obviously not a quick solution, but better than trying to, pump it out, or buckets. The plans also included a modern and monumental headquarters, designed by Fritz Hogel to be built in Geneva. It had 3 very large towers to symbolize politics, economics, and technology. Now, not all currently coastal cities would be happy to lose their coastal status, but one city really sticks out as requiring the sea much more than the rest. Venice is possibly the world's most renowned cultural landmark, certainly Europe's, with historical and artistic value in excess. Draining the Mediterranean would also drain the city, which was as unacceptable a thought in the 1920s as it is now, but have no fear, Hermann planned for this. The plan was a retaining wall, just over the horizon, or 30 kilometers away from the city, creating the illusion of the sea and preserving Venice as a cultural monument. So worry not, fans of architecture, Venice would have survived, well, at least until it sinks into the mud. But that's a whole nother video, and we're not getting into that now. But his master plan didn't end at Europe, no. It also included Africa, flooding 3 huge portions of the continent in an attempt to produce more fertile regions and create a more stable climate, more favorable to development of the African nations. The 3 lakes in question are located in the interior of the continent, with one created by flooding the Chad region, one in the Congo region by damming the Congo, and one in the south, near Namibia. This is probably the most controversial point of the plan from today's standpoint, as flooding entire countries might demonstrate a certain lack of care or interest for the existing cultures and communities. However, if it had been carried out courteously and professionally, it might have paid off in the long run, with a great new climate for farming and human development. But then again, this is 1920s Europe, so what are the chances of that? Another downside is that by evaporating the water away, you increase the salinity of the water, so you can say goodbye to any fish or aquatic plants in the Med, and say hello to the Dead Sea 2.0. Also, the whole system of dams may be just too tempting for any rogue states or terrorists who want to destroy a whole network of nations with only one successful attack, so another drawback. Now don't worry about this project raising the world's sea levels too much either. The Mediterranean only has around 3.75 million kilometers cubed of water, while the rest of the world's oceans have a combined volume of 1.338 billion kilometers cubed. And if this just sounds like a lot of big numbers, basically there's 366 times as much water outside the Mediterranean as there is in it. As well as that fact, only a small portion of the Mediterranean would be drained, not the whole thing, as well as the fact that a brand new set of inland lakes in Africa would take quite a lot of water too. So the consequences are nowhere near as bad as they first seem. So in essence, that was the plan of Hermann Sogel, draining the Mediterranean for more land and tons of free energy. And if you think it sounds crazy now, you can imagine how well it was received in the 1920s, before the invention of things like plastic. And with no one taking it up, despite some interest from a few parties, after the death of Hermann in 1952, the plan was shelved for good, and it has not been discussed or considered since. If this sounds like an unrealistically expensive plan for Europe to undertake, keep in mind the yet-to-happen World War II cost Europe $500 billion, or 5.4 trillion in today's money. Now, obviously the war was an easier sell, but it's not like if humans had decided to aim for this massive project, it couldn't have happened. It's just that we had different priorities at the time. Way to go, humans. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like the video if you did, and subscribe if you want to see future videos on topics like people worshipping planes or giant mysterious stone spheres. And remember to check out my last video on the location of Atlantis. And if you're into gaming, be sure to check out my other channel, Celtic Dragon Gaming, where I just started a Dark Souls playthrough with an upcoming animation of some of the more entertaining parts. You should definitely check it out. Until next time, guys, goodbye!